Coming up on the early edition, Arizona makes history this week. The first measure signed by new Governor Doug Ducey adds a civics test for high schoolers to graduate. Plus, in the midst of a winter storm across much of the country, a new report suggests 2014 was the warmest year recorded since weather observations started. Also on News 11, the man accused of causing the death of a local officer was back in court today as the trial in his murder case begins. The latest in a Crime Tracker 11 report. You're watching the early edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Opening arguments started today in the trial of a truck driver involved in a crash that killed a local officer more than a year ago. 34-year-old George Espinosa has been charged with 20 felony offenses tied to the death of Arizona Department of Public Safety officer Tim Huffman. That includes one count of second-degree murder. Espinosa's defense is not disputing the crash, rather asking if it was criminal behavior. Huffman died May last year when his parked vehicle was hit by a big rig on Interstate 8 near Yuma. Tonight at 6, we'll have the latest on what the first witness had to say when he took the stand. Yuma police say officers found a body in the hot tub of a hotel. The Yuma Police Department says the man's body was found Wednesday morning at the Knights Inn. The man may have died from an apparent drowning. Officers are not releasing his identity until family members are notified. An autopsy is scheduled soon to determine the cause of death. A new bill signed into Arizona law makes it the first state in the U.S. to add a civics test as a requirement for high school graduation. The American Civics Bill is the first law signed by newly elected Governor Doug Ducey. The bill easily passed through the Arizona Congress with about two-thirds majority in both the House and Senate. Students will not have to name their Senate senators or representatives, but they may need to know how many members of the U.S. House and Senate are there. Would you pass? Other possible questions include, what is an amendment? Who wrote the Federalist Papers? And what are the 3 original 13 states? It will affect students who are part of the class of 2017 and future classes. Around the world tonight, with police in Europe rounding up terrorism suspects and the man accused of plotting an attack on the U.S. Capitol in court, President Obama and the British Prime Minister agreed on a joint effort to fight the homegrown threat. Steve Handelsman is at the White House where the leaders met. Cameron is not shy. He says the U.S. ought to do more domestic spying to uncover homegrown radicals, and the British leader has been calling members of Congress to ask for more patience on Iran. TGIF takes on a whole special meaning for those of us who have Martin Luther King Day off. But what will the holiday weekend bring us into the 80s? News 11's Rob Fram joins us from the Weather Center with the answer and the first forecast. While people in some parts of the United States may not have noticed it worldwide, 2014 was the warmest year on record. Climate scientists with NASA and NOAA examined the data they came to this conclusion, which was announced today. Chris Poland report. It's interesting to note the average temperature last year in the U.S. was only the 34th warmest on record. But on the global scale, the U.S. makes up only 2% of the Earth's surface. North America was one of the few exceptions to last year's warming trend. A golf tournament close to home tees off to help people with life-threatening illnesses, so having fun is right on par with supporting a good cause. News 11's Molly Lang is live at the Desert Hills Golf Course in Yuma with a preview of tomorrow's event. How's it going out there, Molly?
Last part.
Coming up next on the early edition, widespread flu causes concern in most of the 50 states in our country. The latest on the disease.
How do you feel?
That was so hard. I was like, blah, 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 like that was so